Chapter 47, Hey? What's wrong? Harrison saw her petrified, and comforted her endlessly. I'm here, what are you afraid of? Serafina couldn't stand still anymore, not knowing what to say. Why am I not afraid anymore when you're here? He raised his eyebrows slightly, showing a don't you understand expression, and continued, because, if you can't stand it anymore, I'll help you. His tone was very calm, truly an example of a good person who does good deeds and is willing to suffer and sacrifice himself as a sacrifice for her. Finally, he added a doubtful sentence, you don't understand what I'm saying, do you? Of course I do, but, she turned her face away, her cheeks burning. Why didn't he think of a way to eliminate the effects of the drug and instead calmly and leisurely sat there discussing the matter? Was he doing it on purpose? She gritted her teeth, you. He glanced at her, very seriously, already prepared, what do you need to tell me? Ready for what? She was angry, it's all your fault, why didn't you tell me when you saw it? He frowned, pretending to be very obedient, didn't you say you didn't allow it, I can't go out? Look at me listening to you, why don't you praise me? After he finished speaking, he pressed his handsome face closer to hers and touched his face with his finger. She pushed him away, her face red as wine. What if she wants to poison me to death? It's not that bad. He was full of confidence, moreover, I can recognize the reactions of hundreds of drugs when they come into contact with water. After he finished speaking, he couldn't help but pinch her cheek, reassuring her, don't worry, I'm sure that's an aphrodisiac. She quickly avoided his hand, retreated to the sofa, a great distance away from him, and looked at him warily, stay away from me. Don't touch me anymore. This sentence, he touched his chin, pondered, then nodded, I should tell you later. She was speechless. Could it be that when the drug took effect, she would pounce on him and do something to him? But I won't say that to you, nor will I be that cruel. He laughed exaggeratedly, his eyes curved like crescent moons, how could I bear to let you suffer? She gritted her teeth, swearing to herself that even if she died, she would endure it. He had already sat down on the chair, calmly opened the book, and sighed to himself, Hayes, I didn't expect it to be so fast. Her whole body stiffened, of course she understood what he meant by so fast. Only been in love for a month and already doing it, it's really too fast. She glanced at him uneasily, but he changed his expression to a cold one, completely serious and focused on reading, not at all distracted. Did he decide that today was the day he would finally do this, so he sat there waiting for her to suddenly not be able to bear it anymore and automatically pounce on him? This kind of boyfriend is really trash. But now she didn't have time to think about her boyfriend, all her attention was focused on herself. She hugged her knees and sat curled up, biting her hand, concentrating hard to notice the changes in her body. He saw that she wasn't looking at him anymore, so he looked up. Seeing her face turn red and white, both tense and confused, both worried and uneasy, looking very pitiful. He slightly curved his lips, a smile appeared in his eyes. She frowned tightly, curled up in the chair, extremely confused and miserable. According to her experience, in less than 20 minutes, she would definitely lose her mind, pounce on him and touch him all over. If she couldn't quickly defeat and destroy the other party, she would definitely go crazy, say all kinds of inviting words, and show all kinds of flirtatious postures. Just like before. Suddenly, it felt like a rock had fallen from her heart. She forced herself to forget some things from her previous life, but at this moment she still couldn't help but remember. Did she think that being reborn meant being born again? Actually, it wasn't. She changed to a clean, healthy body, but what about her memories and her heart? It would forever be torn and irreparable. In Harrison and Theodore's eyes, she was just a strong girl who also needed love, both innocent and a bit cunning, so she unconsciously lived this way, as if she was deceiving herself to gain a little more warmth and comfort. But even if she wanted to forget, she couldn't forget. In fact, she was a person who was tormented to the point of exhaustion by suffering. No matter what method she used, she absolutely could not let him see her dirty and shameless appearance. It represented her terrifying past, she absolutely could not let anyone see it. She decided to go into the bathroom, soak in cold water, and add a lot of ice cubes to the water. She was most afraid of the cold, she could definitely control herself. Her face was ugly as she stood up and walked towards the refrigerator. As soon as she moved, his eyes followed her. Seeing her take out all the ice in the refrigerator, he was surprised and asked, "What are you taking so much ice for?" She frowned seriously, sighed exhaustedly, "I want to fight against this medicine." "So?" He looked at her suspiciously. "I want to pour cold water into the bathtub, add more ice and then soak." He was stunned. Wasn't she most afraid of the cold? In the moment he hesitated, she bit her lip, resolutely turned around and went into the bathroom. He stood up from the chair, threw the book away, and said with a rare impatience, "Are you really going?" He walked quickly, wrapping his arms tightly around her from behind so that she wouldn't walk any further. "Aren't you afraid of catching a cold?" She was silent. Just now when he raised his head, she had already felt something was wrong. More than 10 minutes had passed and she hadn't felt anything unusual. Thinking back seriously, if she really had taken some kind of medicine, would he be so calm? She was still holding the ice bucket in her arms, the lid wide open, the cold air continuously seeping out, seeping into her bare arms, making her feel cold. She also felt cold in her heart. This cruel and dark man was teasing her like this? She stood still, silently hugging the ice bucket, biting her lip, not moving. He stood behind her, not seeing her angry and painful expression, only seeing her arm being chilled by the cold air. He quickly pulled the ice bucket aside, rubbing and warming her arm with his palm. Suddenly, her eyes darkened, as quick as lightning. She grabbed his arm that was reaching out, raised it, knelt down, bent her back, bent her body, and threw him over her shoulder. For the second time in his life, Harrison was ambushed by someone beside him. He never expected her to suddenly use such a cruel move. Not having time to prepare, she threw him into the sky. He completely lost his balance. But he was not a pushover. He grabbed her hand back, turned around and jumped up, then stood firmly, facing her, locked her arms behind her back, and hugged her tightly. She was weaker than him. After a few attempts she was no longer able to move. She gritted her teeth, ignoring that he was her boyfriend. She raised her knee to hit his lower abdomen. He was stunned for a brief moment, but immediately dodged it. At the same time, he turned her around, the hand that was locking her arms twisted, one hand grabbed her two hands, the other hand hugged her side. He leaned close to her ear, raising his eyebrows as if he couldn't believe it. "You really dare to kick? Don't want to be happy in this life anymore? Still joking? I want to kick that liar." She struggled, her face red with anger. "Let go." "No." He tilted his head, touched her face, and calmly looked at her. In her heart, there was only anger rushing in. She gasped and cursed, "Bastard! Bastard! Harrison, you bastard! Let go, don't touch me." He was startled, only now realizing something was wrong. He looked down and saw that her eyes were red and filled with tears. Only then did he know that she was really angry, extremely angry. He couldn't help but feel nervous. The playful smile in his eyes just now had completely disappeared. He lowered his head and said softly, "Sorry, I'm not good at handling things like this. Other than hugging you, I don't know how to say intimate words. I've never joked with anyone before, so I don't know the measure and limit of joking." After he finished speaking, he felt even more embarrassed and awkward. "My personality is cold. Women don't like me, right? I'm afraid that you'll see me as a bland and boring person, and want to try to do something to change it, but it seems like I don't know the limit. This is really," he helplessly laughed bitterly, "why is it so difficult?" She still stood still and listened. The initial anger and shame in her heart gradually dissipated. She calmed down. Her heart was filled with thousands and thousands of complicated thoughts and a bit of laughter and tears. If it weren't for the matter of her previous life, this kind of joke wouldn't have made her angry. But he didn't know, so it wasn't really his fault, and this experiment also made him very miserable. But perhaps fate was trying to create a layer of separation between the two of them, and some things still couldn't help but linger in her heart. He could try his best to change his personality for her, and she was very touched. But she still couldn't help but doubt that when he was silent in private, did he also feel that this way of accommodating was fake? A person who was originally like this, but when standing in front of another person, was like that, could it really last? She closed her eyes, not knowing how to solve this problem. Her past wasn't something that could be understood by just a few simple words. She shook her head inwardly, not wanting to think about these troubling things anymore. She tried her best to push all her wandering thoughts aside. Really? Aren't you very good? Can't the third brother of the Lancaster family do everything? So stupid, you don't even know what can be joked about and what can't be joked about. He smiled wryly again, nudging her. Don't be angry anymore, okay? Then you have to do something to compensate me for my loss. He frowned and thought for a moment, then said, or what do you want? I'll give it to you. He was truly a bland man. This sentence was not modest at all. He saw that she did not say anything, feeling that perhaps there was something wrong. He continued, how about this? I owe you a favor. In the future, whenever you want to make me do something, you can do it. Is that okay? She thought for a moment, then nodded calmly. Okay, I'm not angry anymore. Only then did he smile comfortably. The seriousness hidden on his forehead had completely disappeared. He couldn't help but hug her tighter. She leaned against him, not turning her head. But you're really, suddenly thinking of such a strange way of speaking. His face darkened, his eyes flashed with coldness. Hannah had indeed put medicine in Serafina's glass of water. It was just half a vitamin C pill. Of course he didn't think that Hannah had run all the way to Macau just to supplement her vitamins. The only explanation is that she really intended to put something in, but someone switched it along the way. To find out her intentions and who switched the medicine, it's very simple. Just investigate who goes in and out of room 1824. At this moment, Hannah was happily lying by the pool below the hotel, wearing sunglasses and a bikini, sunbathing. She had told someone to lock the door when Serafina entered the room. When her brother and Serafina had slept together, Lily would definitely be furious. There was also a camera in the room, and when Harrison saw the video, she didn't believe he could still treat Serafina well. What did her mother tell her to do? To trick Serafina into a place where there was no one, then tell the servants hiding around to quickly tie Serafina up and take her to the car, making sure there were no loopholes. Really? What era is this, to still be filming Hong Kong movies? Hannah raised her eyebrows in disdain. Serafina wasn't an idiot, just saying a few random words and she would follow? Moreover, weren't they afraid of being seen by so many people? The method she came up with was still the best. It was both simple and easy to do. But the plans that Mom thought of weren't bad either. The ideal situation would be that the older brother and Serafina were forced to marry, and a portion of the Beaumont family Smith group would follow Serafina into the Kensington family. And as for how the husband's family treated Serafina, the person who married into the family would have no choice but to endure. Whether the older brother and Serafina loved each other or not was not important. The important thing was to deal a blow to the Beaumont family, and Serafina and Harrison would no longer be able to be together. Fortunately, Serafina and Theodore were still not mature enough, and just causing a few major obstacles and major accidents would be enough to ruin their temperaments. No matter what, as long as they wanted to attack the Beaumont family, all sorts of simple, complex, reasonable, and unreasonable things would have to be used. But Hannah just hoped that Serafina would have an affair with another man besides Harrison. She wondered how Harrison would look at Serafina if he knew. But before she could smile, her phone rang. A picture message had been sent. She turned on the phone and almost fainted. What was going on with Lily and her brother rolling around on the bed? She slumped down in her chair, not daring to believe her eyes. Before she could come back to her senses, Lily called, full of boasting and insolence, I forgot to tell you, I secretly switched your medicine. That's right, please go back and tell your mother. With such clumsy skills, how could she still be in the business world for so many years? But I also have to ask you to thank her for me. Say that thanks to her, her precious son and I are truly happy to the point of losing our souls. After she finished speaking, without waiting for Hannah to reply, she laughed and hung up the phone. Hannah's face was as gloomy as if it was about to rain. She dialed back but the phone was turned off. Serafina didn't take the pill, nothing happened, and Lily was entangled in bed with her brother. She panicked. This was a big problem. She would definitely be scolded to death by her mother. She should have listened to what her mother said from the beginning. But the important thing is that she can't go up there and confront Lily right now, otherwise her brother will definitely get angry if he finds out, and if Lily instigates things further, the relationship between everyone in the family will definitely become more tense. Hannah stood there worriedly for about 10 minutes, but in the end, she still put on her coat and decided to go upstairs first, and when she calmed down, she would call her mother to report the situation. But when she turned into the hallway ahead, several men in black with cold faces quickly surrounded her. With a towel soaked in high-dose anesthetic covering her nose, she struggled a few times before passing out. Hannah woke up amidst the rough tossing, her cloak was opened wide, and the despicable faces of the men appeared before her eyes. She screamed in fear, fell backwards, retreated and wanted to run, but 4 or 5 men were holding her. Where could she escape to? She was touched by the hands until it hurt, just thinking about what these people wanted to do to her. She was terrified. She was the young lady of the Kensington family. How could she be raped by men who didn't know where they were dragged from? Do you know who I am? How dare you treat me like this? My mother and brother will definitely not forgive you. She cried and screamed, but a man pinched her mouth open, holding a bottle of water and pouring it into it. She was not stupid, of course she knew that there was something wrong with this water. She choked, coughing repeatedly, only now did she realize that the camera was placed on the opposite side. She was shocked, she was forced to take the medicine, then could it be that the scene of her uncontrollably having sex with these despicable men would also be filmed? Don't! She screamed miserably, using all her strength to struggle out, but no matter what she did, it was all in vain. She felt her heart filled with despair and humiliation, resentment and unwillingness. Don't, save me! Save me! She cried out in tears, so scared that her whole body trembled. She threw away all her previous pride, begging, whatever you want, car, house or money, whatever you want, I will give it all. Please don't do this, don't do this. These words seemed to have an effect. The men surrounding her suddenly let go of their hands on her. She felt like she had been pardoned, hastily grabbing her cloak to wrap herself up. There is an antidote, right? Give it to me, give it to me. At this moment, the sound of the door opening rang out. She was stunned. It turned out that it wasn't her plea that had worked, but that someone important had come. She turned her head to look, and saw that the person who walked in from outside was Harrison Lancaster? She immediately felt like she saw a savior, burst into tears, her eyes and nose running, rushing forward. Mr. Harrison Lancaster, save me. But the black-clothed man blocked her way, preventing her from getting close. She looked at him suspiciously, now seeing clearly. The always indifferent and cold man now had a face as heavy as lead. His handsome face exuded a cold and vicious look. She paused, her heart suddenly sinking. The one who forced her here was Harrison?